are relentless losers. Yeah. Relentless losers is fantastic. Here we are, Abe Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports. Spooky sports. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I'm quite spooky.
Lori's quite spooky on a Thursday. Not just any Thursday. It's October 31st. A Halloween night in 2024. Abe, you a big Halloween guy?
I would not say so, Bob.
Why not, Abe?
Because I've never done anything Halloween-y.
I
don't
swear
do
That's
I
not
swear
true.
that we
That
worked-
is not fucking true.
We worked a couple of shifts at Papa John's, I think, possibly on Halloween. And I remember you always dressing up as a slutty Papa John's delivery driver.
No.
Wasn't there a time I did something
Abe
with
was
Chris?
a doctor.
Yeah, that's right. There
With
was
Chris.
once. With Chris, yes. That's right.
Was this in your constantly having to
Yes.
be reminded that your hands are
Yes.
penises phase? Because
Perhaps.
because I know that I wouldn't want to come into contact with Dr. Abe during that time in his life.
Yes.
Oh, man. It's too bad it's an audio-only podcast because every now and then you can get Abe to blush, which is known. It's a neat trick considering the color of his skin. Abe, why don't you participate in the lovely? I guess you've got a first floor apartment, but it's an inward-facing door, so it's not like you can turn on
Right.
the porch light and invite the kiddos over.
That's true. And also, this is not, an apartment building right next to a Kroger is not like a conducive
Kroger.
place for people to kind of
The
walk
murder
around.
Kroger.
Yes. Formerly murder. Hardly any murders
It's
now.
actually you're exactly wrong.
How many kids?
Across from the murder Kroger is where you would celebrate Halloween.
Is it a kid-friendly apartment building? How many kids are running around in there?
I've seen a handful of kids, but it's not. Mostly like IT people.
Young professionals,
Yeah. A lot
such
of
as
them.
such as yourself.
Yeah, I'm not that, but yes. Not young.
We go all out around here for Halloween.
Dude, the neighborhood goes nuts.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids. A lot of people come to this neighborhood.
People come to the neighborhood. I feel like
Oh,
it's more
really?
people that come.
So people that are not even in your subdivision, they'll come too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They come. They park their cars. Some of them drive their cars around the neighborhood, which is like I'm fine with the coming and the parking and the walking around. Like that all works for me. The parents who drive their able-bodied children from house to house.
Very weird.
I'm not for
Wait,
it.
wait. You're saying that they're like kind of idling, like they'll drive like a little bit, stop at the next house, stop, let them
Yep.
out. They go and get the candy. They come back in the car, drive a little bit, on and on and on.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That is outrageous. You should give them like less candy. Like tell your parents to be less lazy. Trick or treat.
It's completely unacceptable, but I don't know how you can police it. I don't know what you're supposed to. I mean, I guess, yes, you could say, sorry, carbon tax here, as you putter around our neighborhood in your combustion engine car. I'm afraid I'm going to have to confiscate some of this candy and give it to a greener family.
That's right. Do you think it's a mobility issue or just a lazy issue?
It is 100% a lazy issue. It has nothing to do. These kids are perfectly, as I said, able-bodied.
The kids are able-bodied, but like I wonder if the parents like they can't move
No.
that well and they don't want to like not be within eyes. Like they want to be able to see the kids. Right?
All right, you
So,
got
like,
to
if they're,
call
like-
up an aunt or an uncle, or you got to let them go with the friends
that's
or
right.
something.
Yeah,
If
they're fine.
you cannot be a person who sits in the car and drives your child around to collect
Okay.
candy from
Two
strangers.
sports.
It's too much. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It is time to talk about sports. In fact, even though it's late, and the game is well underway. Abe has assured me that he's an honorable man who has not seen a score yet so far in the game that is going on between the Texans and the Jets. Time for Abe to live bet the games. Abe got a win on Monday night. Now up to 8-10, which
Look
with
at
Jimmy
that.
Carter's loss last week, Jimmy at 4-5, Abe live betting the games at 8-10. Now still, this is straight up, whereas Jimmy picks games across against the spread, of course. Not an apples and apples
Did he have
comparison.
Didn't you have an over-under once? Come on, I'm not cheating. I'm doing it the right way.
Abe, Texans at the Jets. The Jets are on a bit of a gnarly losing streak here under a new head coach. Who you got tonight?
At the Jets, they're in New York or New Jersey or wherever they play.
Yeah, in New Jersey at MetLife or Jet Life Stadium, as the scumbags like to call it.
I think they're on a 3-game losing streak. There's no way it can go to 4. Give me the Texans.
The 6-2 Texans over the 2-6 Jets, a very bold pick.
Hey.
As usual, there are 6 minutes and 49 seconds to go in the second quarter. The game is scoreless.
Oof.
Fun one that we're missing tonight, seems like.
Not missing much, yeah.
All right, let's move on and talk about the sports news of the week quickly. Abe, the World Series happened.
Happened. It's over.
It's over and done with. The Los Angeles Dodgers are your 2024 world champions over the wretched New York Yankees. Did you watch any of the games, or were you just keeping up with things as things unfolded?
So I was recording another podcast during the first half of the game, and as soon as we were done, I turned on the TV, and it was the 5th inning.
Oh.
The Yankees
famous
are
fifth.
up 5-0. I'm like, oh, easy does it. They're gonna go to L.A. and maybe make a series out of it, right? And then just a comedy of errors. I've never seen so many mistakes in like one inning by a team that gets paid that much. Just like, what was it? Aaron Judge in center field fucked that up.
Aaron Judge is in center field with nobody on yet and nobody out, I don't think. Has a soft line drive. Well, no, there's a runner on first base, which I guess is how he got distracted, but there's nobody out yet. And a soft line drive more or less right at him at center field, and it just kicks off the small part of his glove down there near his heel rather than making the catch. He fails to make the catch, and the runner advances, and now there are runners on first and second.
Right.
The next batter hits a soft grounder towards shortstop, which is fielded capably by the shortstop, who then spikes the ball as he attempts to throw it to third base. Another error, which loads the bases.
Yeah.
Still nobody out, I don't think. I think we have a couple of strikeouts there that happen after that, right? We have that wonderful heightened drama of playoff baseball where every pitch feels like it's the end of the fucking world. And you've got, it's Garrett Cole, who's awesome, right. Yankees ace. You've got the rest of them. And everybody's like singing Garrett Cole's praises because he's about to get out of this, it looks like. He strikes a couple of dudes out. And then with Mookie Betts up and the bases loaded, which means he just struck out Shohei, who, by the way, I know you're a big fan. Didn't look like Babe Ruth in the World Series, Abe, I must say.
Babe Ruth had a series like this, I'm sure. How dare you?
Yeah. Laurie was giving him shit for having injured himself while sliding, suggesting that somehow...
he was like, stop.
If he were not so soft, perhaps he would be just fine. He partially dislocated his shoulder. It's not fucking around.
Okay. But that fall should not partially dislocate a shoulder. Be more careful. Be better at falling down.
My favorite baseball injury is the oblique strain on the swing. So it's all you've done is you've swung the bat, which is like you do it, I don't know, 100 times a day during the season, right? You're always swinging a bat. Sometimes you do it just wrong. It's kind of like when you wake up and you're like, I slept wrong, and now I'm fucked.
If
like,
my job were to sleep.
Wrong?
But don't they go through like a bunch of stretching to kind of get their body like
it's their
enough?
whole fucking job.
Stretching is bullshit. That's my opinion. I know.
It's
not.
Have you watched like Sunday football or college football on Saturday? There's like 30 minutes of stretching on the field. That's all
for show. It's all bullshit. I don't buy it. The only
I don't
stretch,
buy
the only
stretching.
stretch of consequence
After.
is that
Stretch after.
Michael Phelps' weird like arm helicopter thing that he would do, where he'd slap himself like because his arms are so long, they would cross over behind him, and he'd be like slapping hands in front of his body, but
Right.
fully crossed over.
That is legitimate.
That's a
Okay.
valid stretch. Any stretch that does not involve fully crossing over your body and slapping hands again in front of you, as Michael Phelps does, is not for real. It's just for show. So
That is your hottest sports take. That is such a ridiculous. It's clearly not true.
anyway, Shohei partially dislocates the shoulder. Is a total bum throughout this World Series.
Right.
Mookie Betts comes up, bases loaded. It looks like
And this is 2 outs at this point.
two
right?
outs now, yeah, because he struck out. I don't know if was it Gavin Lux probably down there at the bottom of the lineup, and then also Shohei, and then up comes Mookie Betts. And that's the thing about this fucking Dodgers lineup. It's like, okay, loaded the bases at the bottom of the order, yeah, not great, but you struck out 2 dudes, including one of the best baseball players of all time in Shohei Ohtani, at least through the last few years. It's like, okay, feeling pretty good. Oh, and then you look up. Fucking Mookie Betts is coming up. And then after that, here comes Freddie fucking Freeman. It's like, God damn it. Anyway,
Red hot Freddie Freeman, yeah.
Mookie Betts hits a squibber off the end of the bat down towards the first baseman there. And
Should be the end of the inning, right?
should be the end of the inning. Except that Garrett Cole does not sprint to first base to cover.
Right.
And worse than that, Anthony Rizzo sort of misplays it because it's sort of one of these weird cue ball type shots off the end of the bat. So it's spinning towards second base, and he sort of came at a slightly weird angle. So by the time he finally makes a play on the ball, his momentum is carrying him out towards second base. So he would have had to take an immediate sprint step towards first base probably to make it to the bag before Mookie did. There's a wonderful freeze frame of the moment that Rizzo fields that ball. You can see Mookie well off of first base, right? Like he sprints out of the box, but still, like, you know, he's maybe 30 feet out of the box, so he's still got another 60 feet to go.
Right.
Anthony Rizzo is standing there, I don't know, 20 feet from first base or something. So he's a third, you know, he is 2/3 closer to the bag than Mookie is. But at this point, Mookie's going full tilt, and Rizzo is still carrying himself out towards second. And Garrett Cole has not attempted to sprint to first base to make the play. And so Cole kind of gives one of these, like, he points at first base, like, it has to be you. And Rizzo's like, well, it's not going to be me. Don't know what to tell you, brother. And the run scores. And it's just fucking wonderful because the thing it's funny watching top-level baseball now as a knowing little league coach because
that was the thing. The commentators are like, you don't see that happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I see that happen so much.
Right.
I see bad baseball all the time.
Yeah, what's Joe Davis or something, the guy who calls games for Fox now, is like, you've never seen an inning like this before. It's like, oh, no, I saw this like 4 times this year.
I see it so much. I see mostly this.
Just balls bouncing off of gloves, balls being thrown within 40 feet of each
Not
other.
doing
that just
the
get
right thing.
spiked directly into the ground. Anyway, so long story short, obviously, Mookie's safe at first, and the run scores, and up comes Freddie, who singles into left center there, scoring 2 more runs. And rather than an inning that should have ended at 5-0, all of a sudden it's 5-3. Teoscar Hernandez comes up and hits one nearly out, which would have been cool. But 2 more runs score on a double from Hernandez. And yeah, it's 5-5, and seemingly the Dodgers have all of the momentum. But to his credit, Garrett Cole comes out and produces 2 more shutdown innings after that, which is just fucking crazy to be able to escape that inning where he threw like 40 pitches, all of them basically high stress. I mean, high stress in like truly like the maximum amount of stress that you can have as a pitcher. And he must have been furious at himself and at his teammates, but he came out and gave them 2 more innings, and the Yankees take a lead. They go up 6-5, and then eventually, you know, you don't need my play-by-play, but the Dodgers take a lead, and Walker Buehler, a guy who was an awesome Dodgers pitcher a few years ago and has struggled through injury the last couple of years, hasn't pitched as much, and in his history has been a dreadful relief pitcher. In the playoffs and in the past before, when he has come in as the reliever just to get a couple of outs as needed, he has been terrible. But this year, today, or last night rather, he comes in and gets 3 outs because they burned through Blake Trinan, their closer, pitched like 2+ innings to get them to the 9th with a chance to win it. But he couldn't go out there for any more pitches after that. And Walker Buehler goes out there and shuts him down. And fucking eat shit, Yankees. It was great.
The first, I went back to kind of see how they got to the 5 runs because I missed the first 2 innings. And the Yankee fans were in such a great mood until like the 5th inning. It was. I mean, if you don't like, I'm a neutral observer. I don't care about the Yankees. I don't hate them. But like, if you don't like the Yankees, that must have been like a great game to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun because, yes, as you're saying, basically since that moment in Game 4 when the shitbag fans in right field interfered with Mookie Betts after he made that catch, it felt like all of the momentum was on the Yankees' side because Freddie hit a home run in the beginning of Game 4, and it's like, okay, Dodgers are still rolling. We're in good shape here. We're just going to close them out here. It's going to be great. And then that play happens down the right field line where Mookie leaps up just over the wall in foul territory and makes the catch. And this fucking dirtbag, this absolute piece of shit scum Yankees fan, grabs his glove and starts to try to tear the glove apart, to tear it open, to reach into the glove and rip the ball.
We really are so blessed in the future because in the past, we wouldn't have been able to see that.
Right.
I mean, we would have seen something. We just wouldn't have seen it in full
clear
4K.
And in slow motion. Yeah. It would have been something.
It was so clear, the slow motion. You could see his stupid face and how
gleeful he was to be ripping the ball out of Mookie. And then his buddy right next to him grabs Mookie's free hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is he even doing? What is he doing grabbing Mookie's free hand in that moment?
And he feels not bad about it. Like, and some of these Yankee fans are like encouraging it almost. And it's weird how the reaction, eventually they banned him from Game 5, but like it's weird how like casual people treated it on the Yankee side. Like it was like, what are you doing? Like that's not a thing to do. Oddly enough, I just saw this I think yesterday or this morning, but Gronk, the tight end, the former tight end, like he went to school with this guy. He knows this guy.
What?
He knows the fucking meathead who was trying to tear the ball away from Mookie Betts?
I guess he was like on some hockey team in Arizona or something. But yeah, apparently he knows the guy. They're not like close friends, but like, hey, that guy, I know that guy. He's a crazy guy. He used to talk about the Yankees all the time.
It's completely unacceptable. I don't want to like overplay it, but like speaking of the degradation of the culture here, like
we weren't.
Steve Bartman, the Bartman episode, he was fucking vilified. They wanted to burn the witch with Steve Bartman with the Cubs back in the day.
I guess it goes to show you that it was not about interfering. Is like the outcome. Like he was a Cubs fan doing something detrimental to the Cubs. Like this guy
by
was a
accident,
Yankees,
crucially
by accident. But that doesn't matter either. That's how like simple-minded people are. Like fuck you because you did a thing. But this guy's getting praised because, like, even though it didn't work, right? I mean, it was still called a catch, right? So, like,
of course, like, what is even the thought?
Right.
What is the idea? Like,
there are no thoughts.
I'm going to make sure that if he doesn't return to the field of play with the ball, then therefore it will not count. Like that is the idea.
What's weird, with the slow mo, like you would think, like if you like did something scummy like that, and it was like you can plausibly deny, like it just happened so fast that just kind of like just hit his glove by accident, you can deny it, even though you meant it on purpose. But with the slow-mo, you can see how intentional he was and how he continued to do it. And he must know we're in 2024, the technology exists.
He doesn't know.
This is being broadcast live. They're going to show a replay of it, right? Like, he knows all this information, and he did it anyways.
He will be a folk hero among Yankee fans, and that's what's gross about this.
I bet you he's going to be. I think had they made a thing out of this, like if they pushed it to Game 7 and maybe won, maybe because like then they can point to that moment because like Freeman scored, it was like 2-0, and then he did the thing, and then the team came back. But like now that they lost, say like that was bad juju and it's your fault. They're gonna pin it on him. I think his luck is gonna turn.
I mean,
now.
to be fair, they were down 3-0 already. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that they will pin it
It's
on
not
him.
his fault.
I would be in favor of that if it were at all plausible.
It's not his fault. It's completely inconsequential. The ball.
It's
was
just fun.
caught.
It's funny because like it is shameful behavior. Like there's no. I don't want to be a
Should be.
scold here.
Yeah,
It is,
but it should be shameful. But it's not, obviously. We
right.
can't control the shame.
Instead,
That's the problem.
he will be lauded as a Yankee folk hero for years to come. Like he's probably going to like dine out on this fucking bullshit.
But
for
I
quite some
don't
time.
think this is going to be a lasting thing because you don't want to think back about this collapse. Like
It's the only positive thing they'll have to think about.
But
though.
it was like
It'll
a
go
gentleman's
away.
sweep, right? It's a gentleman's sweep. Like you got routed. I mean, you lost 4-1. Like there's nothing like good about what happened in the series, and so like they're not going to think fondly of this moment. But I don't know. I could be wrong on that.
Speaking of, the Dodgers win the World Series in Yankee Stadium. And do you know what they were playing over the loudspeaker system as the Dodgers are celebrating on the field?
Is it New York,
No.
New York.
They're playing Sinatra. They're
Yeah.
playing New York, New York, as though the Yankees had won. They're playing the New York Yankees. We won a game. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Song. This is rampant all across sport now.
Yeah, what is going on?
It's
Yeah.
like it's programmed into the fucking systems or something.
Win
where
or
like
lose.
nobody can
Yeah.
figure out. No, turn off the scoreboard, shut off the celebratory noises, and
Right.
fucking just say, please be kind to the traffic directors out
Yeah.
there and have a great night. Get home
That's
safely.
how it used to be, right? I remember, like, whenever they would lose, it would be like a very monotone voice, like, all right, drive safe, hey, blah, 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 next game, or see you next season. Like, something like, all right, we fucking lost, get out of here.
It's
right?
like when you go to the Twitter feed of any major professional or any sports team, and you look at the Twitter feed after a loss, and it's just score, right? It'll just say Yankees 5, Dodgers 7, and then end of tweet, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a win, it's like the Yankees win, and there's a highlight package, and there's like fucking fireworks that go off when you click on the tweet. It's like they haven't yet figured out that makes sense in the tweet world. It also makes sense at the stadium. Like at the stadium, stop with the celebratory noises if your team has just lost the fucking World Series, you dopes.
I mean, this is not a technological limitation, right? Do you think that there's some sort of like contractual obligation, like no matter what we do, the end game sequence, like
Yeah,
no
the
matter-
Sinatra estate demands that
They're
you have to
adamant.
play New York, New York, even after a loss. Freddie Freeman had a World Series for the ages, just an all-time great offensive performance after being completely hobbled in the first part of the playoffs after he suffered his high ankle sprain or severe ankle sprain or whatever it was. Not just the home runs, but the fact that he drove in like literally I think the majority or about the majority of the runs that were driven in by the Dodgers. So stat here, take out Freeman's hitting stats, and the Dodgers hit 193, 287, 321. Triple slash line of 193, 287, 321 in 5 games. That's It's anemic, right? You take away what Freddie did, and they did absolutely nothing. Freeman hit more than half of the Dodgers' homers. He very nearly drove in half of their runs and tied the all-time World Series RBI record in 5 games. Just fucking bonkers.
That is remarkable. I did not know it was that stark, the difference between him and everybody else.
He was basically the whole offense. And Shohei, your boy, did absolutely nothing. Mookie was fine.
Yeah.
And the lower part of their order made stuff happen when they needed to. But ultimately, this was Freddie's fucking World Series, which is very cool. And weirdly, it didn't feel like I was rooting for this fucking Goliath or this fucking behemoth when I was cheering on the Dodgers. Like, they felt like a team that was, you're sort of rooting for them. And that's mostly a function of the fact that their pitching kind of fucking sucks. Like, if you don't have that dominant pitching, it's like, how can we call this a truly dominant team? And with Shohei kind of sucking, it was also a little bit easier to be like, they're not this overwhelming, immovable object or anything.
Right.
And the Yankees played like garbage. They simply did not do the little things. Like, it's a total baseball cliche, but the way that they played it, that fifth inning in Game 5 is as pure a distillation of it as one can imagine, with the sloppy play, the unwillingness to do the thing that needed to be done in the moment. The thing that I preach to my little league kids all the time is that the only difference between the good teams, that there is no, like, the talent disparity is, sure, I guess you could say in the abstract, some teams are going to have more talent than others, sure. But the real difference between the teams that win games and the teams that don't is just who's paying attention. Like, that's almost all of it. Like, if you are engaged and paying attention on every single play, it means you're not making the stupid mistakes where your mind is wandering and the ball knocks off your glove on a soft line drive to center field. You're not going to spike a ball into the third baseman's legs if you know before the pitch happens exactly what you're going to do if this thing happens, right? So, like, if you prepare in every moment for what the next moment is going to be, you're going to be fine. And so, like, when I'm watching Garrett Cole fail to cover first base there, it's like, look, kids, Garrett Cole didn't realize as he made that pitch that if the ball is hit to Anthony Rizzo, he needs to be sprinting to first base, right? He can't think, he just needs to fucking be there.
But I thought that was is that not what should have happened? Like, why was there this miscommunication?
I have no idea why he didn't take off. I guess he thought that it was hit hard enough and at him enough for Rizzo to cover the play himself. But, I mean, that's just a simple misread more than anything else. He needs to be sprinting as soon as that ball is hit to the right side to cover first.
But the thing, I don't know what Mookie Betts was thinking when that happened, but I'm sure he was probably thinking, like, well, this is going to be an out. But, like, he was still running as if he had a chance, right?
Right.
So
but that's the lesson, too. Like, do that.
Yeah, just do... Yeah, you can't go wrong by doing that.
But anyway, very fun World Series.
We were sleeping
considering it was a 5.
when the game ended.
That's true. To be
We
honest,
woke up this morning and I looked at my phone and it was like, Dodgers win the World Series. Yeah. And I woke up Bob and I said, the Dodgers won. And I was worried for a moment that I should have let him find that out on his own, but he seemed happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could not stay up any later. I was, as you can probably hear, still recovering from my extended illness here. Not quite back to 100% yet.
I mean, all you needed to see was when that first base fuck-up happened, I was like, uh-oh. That's the other stuff, the center field, whatever, and the shortstop, whatever, you can recover from that. But just that miscommunication is like, uh-oh, this is not good. This is even before they tied the game up. It was like they were going to lose.
There's a moment when Judge hit a home run at the beginning of this game, and announcers are like, "Oh, the sleeping giant has been awakened." It's like, yeah, okay, for the next couple of hours, I guess. Sure.
Well, I mean, I don't follow the Yankees, but like, was Aaron? Was he always like in center field? Like, he looked a little off. Like, I don't know, was he always center field?
I don't think he's always been a center fielder. He's played center field the last few years, though.
Okay, he just looked a little odd.
A lot of right field, and then some center field, because the Yankees don't have anybody else to play center field. What other sports news has been going on this week?
News?
Other than the football?
Georgia, Florida moving to a different place.
Have they decided on where?
Well, for it's 26, 27, I think.
Because they're renovating that stadium down there in Jacksonville, right?
So that's going to Atlanta and Tampa. Or no, Atlanta and Miami? Atlanta and a different Florida city for 2 years.
LeBron James has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. That should move some numbers, right?
That'll do it.
No, different show.
I don't know. It's LeBron James, though.
It's basketball? We don't talk about basketball.
Lori, at some point, the football season is going to end.
Yeah, but not during football season.
We're going to have to talk some hoop, I'm afraid.
Okay, we can get to that.
Did you guys know Ralph Nader is still alive?
Ralph Nader's
Sounds
still
about
alive.
Right. Did he endorse someone?
No, but he posted on Twitter shitting on the Yankees organization. Like he's like, they need to tear the whole thing down and rebuild them. Like, man, you don't have that many years left. You think he would want like a quick fix to see? It sounds like he's a fan of the Yankees, but he's just like, the whole thing just is a total incompetence from top on down, and they need to change things.
The Yankees' collapse in last night's 5th game of the World Series was a long time coming. The Yankees have been mismanaged or poorly managed since their last World Series in Loaded with money, they make the wrong choices in buying athletes from other teams. They've weakened seriously their farm system, and the owner, Steinbrenner, is not that ambitious for a winning team because he's still making a lot of profit. Yankee general manager Brian Cashman and Yankee team manager Aaron Boone are relentless losers. Yeah. Relentless losers is fantastic. Yankee fans should demand their replacement. The only thing going up at Yankee Stadium are the prices, not the World Series wins. -R, which means it's from the mouth and mind.
Yeah, I looked at his bio, and it says, it'll come from, his underlings unless he has that R, meaning that it came directly from him. But just the energy at 90, imagine being that into sports that late. That's pretty good.
Spectacular.
Relentless.
I cannot think of a sports team that Ralph Nader, Pinko Kami Ralph Nader, should be rooting for less than the fucking evil empire. But what are you doing rooting for the New York Yankees? New York.
I imagine some fandom is not a choice, right? Like you're born into it, you know? And I'm sure that's what happened. But you're right, it is a weird fit. Like you would never, if you did okay, Ralph Nader is a big sports fan.
I'm not surprised at all. He seems very New York to me.
Yeah, like who do you think he's for? You think he would be for the Mets or something, but just not the Yankees.
But to me, the Yankees, I can't tell the difference. I mean, I understand that they are different teams, but it's not typical Yankees fan versus typical Mets fan.
Right, but the Yankees
are New York people.
But they're the successful team. The Mets are less so.
Right. Nader should be a Mets fan. If he has to pick a New York team, he would be a Mets fan.
You don't pick if he was born that way.
Relentless losers.
I mean, he's old enough to have seen most of their titles, right? What is he complaining about? Come on, buddy.
That's fantastic. All right, let's discuss the upcoming weekend of college football. There's plenty of fun games to watch.
So much.
Probably the best way to do that is by discussing the best game in every time slot. We will start on Friday night. Although
I would offer you a sip of my tea, but I don't think it would be a good idea.
I have to
have a sip.
find, because what I had written down when I was doing this, I was doing it last night, and the Yankees were winning 5-0. And so do you know what I wrote in the best game for every time slot?
What's that?
For our bonus Friday night game? I wrote Game 6 of the World Series, Yankees at Dodgers, because I had little faith as I was filling out my chart that there would be a Game 6 as I was watching.
But that's not every time slot.
You know what's funny? I think they did this out of deference for baseball, but there's no late window on Saturday.
I know. The last game is 8 o'clock. The last kick is 8 o'clock. It sucks.
I think they did, right? They did that just to be, we don't want to, eat their ratings. I don't
know, because Georgia, Florida, and the World Series have always been in conflict.
It does seem like that.
It's really, since I can remember, there's been a Georgia, Florida, and World Series. The Georgia, Florida game is not yet over, and the World Series game is beginning.
Okay.
And that's just one game. That, I don't believe that it has anything to do with baseball.
Right. I think I was making that connection because I was like, why is there... we've been doing this the best whatever, and I don't see anything past 8 o'clock.
No. I think it's just because people are on bye weeks.
Yeah, maybe.
You have a lot of teams on bye weeks this week.
I mean, but you can always find a West Coast team to play a 10 o'clock game. It's very weird. Anyway,
they want us to go to bed.
Yeah, next week is BYU,
a good idea.
Utah. Yeah, it's they're back
Not
at
only
their
that,
10 o'clock.
that's the night where we fall back. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
Give us the late game. Give us
true.
a good late game so we can stay up late.
Yeah, we got 25 hours on Sunday, right? So, yeah.
Friday night, I still refuse to pick a football game. Georgia State at UConn, South Florida at Florida Atlantic, and San Diego State at Boise State. Those are
we can watch British Baking Show.
Dreadful games. Don't watch the college football. And then I looked at the NBA schedule because I thought maybe there'll be a good nationally televised NBA game. ESPN doesn't have one. They've got Orlando at Cleveland and Denver at Minnesota. I guess that one is entertaining to people, right? The Nuggets and the Timberwolves, those are a couple of good teams.
Friday night is degenerate gamblers night, right? That's probably what's driving a lot of the action.
I guess so. All right. Yeah, watch Great British Bake Off or something on Friday night. Don't watch any sports. All the sports sucks.
Or go watch a movie like I am.
You going Friday night movies?
Well, I
Wow.
remember I used to do it on Thursdays, and then now there's this other thing happening on Thursdays. I
Yeah.
shifted to Fridays.
So you have to join John Q. Public out there
That's
on
right.
a Friday night.
I mean, it's John Q. Public on Thursdays, too. It's the same crowd.
Abe doesn't call it that. He calls it his fellow humans, obviously.
What are you going to see?
Other
What are you going to see
human
on Friday?
beings.
Not to spoil Monday's episode of CIB, but what are you going to see on Friday night?
The second installment of Smile 2, I heard good things.
Oh, cool.
The horror movie.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't wait to hear the recap.
No, people like Smile.
All right. Moving on to Saturday morning
Noon.
at noon. Pat McAfee has mercifully put his nipples back away, and you can start watching some football.
Not all of you, because some of you have kids with soccer games.
Yeah,
and-
we got soccer on Saturday.
But this is a unanimous pick for the noon window, right? I mean,
I think Ohio State at Penn State, right, for the noon
Yeah.
window.
Yes.
Number 4, Ohio State, minus 3 points on the road in Happy Valley at number 3, Penn State. Should be a fun one. I can't imagine the lesser games being worth putting on the big TV. Although the noon slate, this is sort of a bad
No.
weekend, in my opinion. Once you get past Ohio State,
Ole
Penn
Miss,
State,
Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Auburn. Are you insane?
relax, lady. Would you like to put the segment together from here on out? I don't think that you would.
I might.
I'm just saying, there's a couple of good top-line games, but some of those top-line games are potential blowouts, like Oregon, Michigan, and Georgia, Florida, are likely not going to be terribly close games. And so you've got to hope that in this early noon window, some good games happen, because we've got, as I said, primary television at noon, Ohio State at Penn State. That's the one to watch. I don't want to get into predictions just yet, so we won't. But second television, you're going to need at least a tri-box going on. The double box, not good enough. But on the second TV, you've got Ole Miss minus 7 at Arkansas. I think that's a sneaky game. Arkansas could have a pretty good time there in that game. And then we've got Minnesota minus 3 at number 24 Illinois. That is the weirdest number
yeah.
that I have been able to find for this weekend.
What's the story there? Or is there like an injury or something?
I Googled even Illinois football injuries, and there's like a defensive player who's out this week, but I couldn't find anything that was like, you should be freaking out, Illinois.
Right.
But that's a weird ass number for the Golden Gophers to be favored on the road at number 24 Illinois. And then at 12:45 we've got Vandy plus 7 at Auburn.
Ooh.
Look at the disrespect.
It's
Look at the
remarkable.
ongoing
When
disrespect.
That
Vanderbilt,
quarterback.
they beat Alabama.
Yeah.
They beat Kentucky. They
Yeah.
very nearly beat Texas at home.
And Diego Pavia beat Auburn last year.
Yeah, and also it's Auburn. I know it's at home, but like, why is Auburn getting so much respect?
Doesn't make any sense at all. Should be a fun one, though. Vanderbilt only plays in fun games, as far as I can tell.
All of this is gonna probably come back to haunt us on Monday. Like, oh boy, look at Auburn.
Yeah.
They beat the brakes off of Vandy.
Then good, whatever. Football.
All right, 3:30 window, which is, of course, the cocktail party window. Georgia playing Florida in Jacksonville. Florida, the 16.5-point underdog.
I
Got
see
a
it as
new injury. The return guy, Anthony Evans, I think, out.
Although,
Oh.
yeah,
Bad.
that number
It's
is
bad
moving.
news.
That number's moving down, I think,
It's
right?
14.5 currently on the ESPN.
Yeah.
It's from what?
From 16.5, it moves 2 points.
Yeah, the injury, that's a big deal.
Yeah, well, they're going to be punting a bunch, so don't want your punt returner injured. That's the cocktail party. It should be fun no matter what, but, I mean, hopefully it's not too much of a
I
trial
hope it's
for the
boring.
dogs.
I hope it's so boring. I want it to be so boring.
Second TV in that 3:30 window. No need for the double box or the quad box or anything like that. As far as I can tell, the only other game worth watching in the mid-afternoon there is Oregon, number 1 team in all the land, minus 14.5 points on the road at the Big House in Michigan. They should handle Michigan. Michigan does not have an offense. Their defense is pretty good, but presumably if Oregon truly is as good as they have looked the last few weeks, should not struggle with this depleted Michigan roster.
Defending national champion is always a stupid thing to say, but like if you pull up the preview like on ESPN, the way they frame it is number 1 Oregon to face defending national champion. There's nothing like national champion about this Michigan team. It's just like some shitty team. It's just weird that you would.
Sucks.
It would be like framing another 3:30 game that is not worth watching. The UNC Tar Heels at the Florida State Seminoles as UNC travels to last year's undefeated regular season team who was robbed from a chance to play in the national title. The Seminoles, that is technically true. That's a real bad team, though.
Yeah.
All right, moving into the evening, a fun game I think at 7:30 is number 10 Texas A&M. This is another weird number. It's not quite as weird as the other number, the Minnesota-Illinois number, but Texas A&M, a team that got maybe the best win of the week last week at home against LSU, is undefeated in the SEC, and a lot of chatter about how they could plausibly certainly make the SEC championship and then the playoff after that. Traveling to South Kakalaki, to the Gamecocks in Columbia.
Yeah.
-2.5 on the road in Columbia. Like, what the fuck is going on there?
Because
Man.
they know that Columbia is a scary place to play, especially at night.
The picks aren't locked yet, right? Can I make an adjustment? I overlooked this game. South Carolina is actually they have a puncher's chance here. This is actually not a bad pick.
They have a good defense. Their offense is not good at all, though. Like, I would be very surprised if. And I guess this must be maybe Vegas. They've been listening to the show. They know that I am highly skeptical of this Marcel Reed character, who's the quarterback for Texas A&M now that Connor Weigman isn't going to be the dude anymore. And with a full week to prepare for the running quarterback, perhaps they believe that Beamer's son down there in South Carolina can figure out a game plan to keep this one close and maybe pull one out in the very end. I don't think South Carolina has an offense to score enough points to win this game. But I don't know. It's a very weird number. A&M minus 2.5.
I'm excited. I'm so
South
excited
Carolina
for this weekend.
And then there's a good number of second-tier games at 7:30. We've got Arizona State -3 at Oklahoma State. We've got Louisville plus 10.5 at Clemson. I think that could be a sneaky, very fun game with a lot of scoring that happens. Kentucky plus 16.5 at Tennessee. Kentucky feels like they're fucking dead, right? Like, it feels like Kentucky, they had their moment. Maybe something was going to happen this year, and then it's completely dead. And then Tennessee was awesome the first 4 weeks of the season, scoring 1 billion fucking points, and then sort of fell off there for a little bit. But they're somehow the number 7 team in the country, which is bizarre to me. Like, if you told me...
They just beat Alabama.
I know they just beat Alabama, but, like, how are they the number 7 team
Right.
in the country?
Because they just beat Alabama.
I think that's a crazy number, 16.5 points. I think Kentucky has a very good defense and is going to make Nico. I think Nico's going to struggle against that defense. And Kentucky's offense, though plodding and not very exciting, is able to keep them in games, certainly. So 16.5 feels wrong to me. I like the Wildcats there. And then Pittsburgh.
To cover, not to win, right?
No, probably not to win.
Yeah.
You're going to Knoxville there. Like, it's not a pleasant environment, certainly. And then the fourth game for the 7:30 quad box is Pittsburgh, the number 18 team in the country, plus 7.5 points at number 20, SMU. SMU still undefeated in conference, and Pittsburgh is as well. So that's an important game in the ACC.
Wow, Pittsburgh is undefeated overall too. Wow.
Should be a fun one. Any other games that I failed to highlight that are on the schedule this week that anybody wants to mention?
You mentioned that Louisville Clemson game was going to be a shootout. Like the total points total is 62.5, which is a lot, but it didn't sound unreasonable.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see. I mean, Clemson has looked really good after that Georgia game, but it's not like they've had anybody to really play either.
Right.
So Louisville has been a pretty good team this year, and it will give Clemson hopefully something of a challenge that they haven't faced in the last few weeks.
Duke, Miami would be the only other one.
Yeah, but Duke is
I know it's the
catching
it's the
3
coach,
touchdowns or
former
something,
coach,
Yeah,
former
like 20
coach, whatever.
points, yeah.
Virginia Tech Syracuse might also be worth checking out there in the noon window. I failed to mention that one, but that one might be fun too. Although you just never know what you're going to get with Syracuse, it seems like.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the CIB Pick'em contest. I want to warn everyone now, I don't have Jimmy Carter's presidential lock of the week.
Boo. He's been on a losing skid, and now he's scared to make his picks.
Jimmy, he will get a pick in. There might not be the typical voicemail that Jimmy leaves for us. Might not happen, but Jimmy will get a pick in before the games get underway. I understand Jimmy was busy this week working on. He was trying to get a 2-minute sermon down to a clean 45 seconds for the trick-or-treaters. Because, of course, Jimmy does not want to answer the door and expound for 2 full minutes on the good news. He wants to get it down to a clean 45 seconds. And given his advancing age, it's a tough task. It's a tall order. But that is my understanding, is that Jimmy was working on his trick-or-treat sermon and could not get a pick in this week, I'm afraid.
Totally understandable.
All right, so let's get into the Pick'em game. Updating the scores real quick. We've got Lori is the caboose with 137 points. Cousin Steve picked up a late 5 to move up to 147 on Monday night. Abe in there at second place, just 3 points ahead with 150 points.
Buck 50, look at that.
And I have 220. Quite clear of the crowd at the moment. Cousin Steve's picks. He's got Pittsburgh outright at SMU. They're catching 7.5 points. He thinks the Pitt Panthers are going to beat our one of the preferred teams of the show, the SMU, the Mustangs. I don't care for that pick, Steve. Fuck you.
He's always picking Pennsylvania teams.
It's true. He is often doing that. I only have 4 games here. I have to double check my email here. Oh, because I was putting it in. Yeah, Georgia Southern plus 6.5 at South Alabama. Cousin Steve going entirely off the board. Yeah. He doesn't have access to the spreadsheet that we're using here. But what I do, on the spreadsheet, I list all of the top 25 games that are happening. And then I list a series of that I call other games of note, which are just I go through the full slate and I say, hey, these games are jumping out at me as potentially interesting. And then I list all of the NFL games as well, which gives Lori, Abe, and I the opportunity to pick from that slate of games. Cousin Steve going entirely off the board. He found Georgia Southern at South Alabama and decided that was worth gambling on. Steve, I want you to really think hard and look at that number on your gambling app.
What's the number?
Because if you're 1-888 fucking I've got a problem.com or something like that. But
what's the line?
It's Southern plus 6.5.
And what is he saying?
South Alabama. He's taken the Eagles. The State is the Eagles. What is Southern?
I don't know. Georgia Southern something.
That time that I went
It
rogue.
is the Eagles. It's the Georgia Southern Eagles. What is the Georgia State? Georgia State's
Panthers.
All right. So he's got the Pitt Panthers and the Georgia Southern Eagles.
So the Pittsburgh team's okay. I mean, the Pennsylvania team's one thing. What's the connection? Georgia Southern, Southern Alabama, both like middling teams, like inside information?
He must know something. That's the only plausible explanation. Is that Steve knows something. Might have to get $50 on the Eagles just to ride Cousin Steve's coattails there.
This is like I used whenever there would be there was like some documentary about like some gambling in college basketball like in the 90s, and there was like a lot of activity, a lot of money on like some random game, and like that tipped them off, like something's going on. Maybe there's something here. There's some sort of, doesn't make any sense, just out of left field, no connection.
How dare you impugn one of our loyal listeners in
I'm
such
not saying that's what's
fashion?
happening. I'm saying it's happened before.
Steve's also got the Texans as road underdogs at the Jets tonight.
Ooh, what's the
Texans
update?
somehow were catching 1.5. All right, and then we've got the Packers plus 3.5 and the Bucks on Monday night plus 8.5 against the Chiefs. All right, Lori. No, actually, let's go to Abe here. Abe,
Yes.
you do your picks.
All right, so I initially was thinking Ohio State, but I saw you two pick that team, so I was like, I'm gonna go the other way. So I got Penn State defending home turf.
Fade CI balls is never a bad play.
Then got the very easy game, Georgia at side at 14.5 against Florida. That should be an easy game. I'm going to I had the Bears, but I'm gonna nix that and instead include South Carolina to beat Texas A&M. So I got South Carolina over Texas A&M.
You're going to take them outright?
Yeah, outright. Vandy outright, how dare they? And then the Vikings against the shitty Colts team. I can't believe that this is going to be a primetime game. It's going to be a fucking disaster. But I got the Vikings.
Didn't they flex to this game?
Yeah, they flexed to it. I don't know what.
Why did they flex? I mean, granted, I guess Goodell and co. are listening to the show here, and big fans of Sam Darnold, as we are. Like, I appreciate it. The Sunday night game has been basically the only Sunday football I've been able to watch so far this season because of our Little League Baseball responsibilities.
The last week, though.
That's right. This is our last week of Little League Baseball for the season. But yeah, Colts Vikings. With Joe Flacco moving to prime time. What are they thinking? All right, so those are Abe's picks. All right, I'll have everyone know. I made my picks on Wednesday night while I was watching
I make mine Thursday morning.
the baseball game. Lori gets on the spreadsheet on Thursday morning before she leaves for work, and I often, when she gets on the spreadsheet, I go ahead and hop on the spreadsheet too, because she tends to write out sentences instead of simply saying Ohio State parentheses minus 3.5.
I don't want to say the wrong thing and have it be the opposite of what I mean.
Yeah.
So she'll say things like Ohio State and don't worry about the points. They'll score more than that number of points to win by more than that amount. It's like, okay, that's a lot for one box on the spreadsheet, but it could just say Ohio State minus 3.5, and it would communicate everything.
Yeah, no misunderstandings this way. Yeah,
I made my picks: Ohio State minus 3.5, Illinois outright over Minnesota, Clemson minus 10.5, Vandy outright over Auburn, Arizona outright over UCF. Those were my picks, and then I go and I pull up the fucking spreadsheet, and what has Lori done? She's gone to all of the games that I've already selected, and so she makes the same pick for Ohio State minus 3.5. But then for Minnesota minus 2.5 at Illinois, I've got Illinois outright. Lori says, I'll take Illinois and I'll take the fucking points. And then with Louisville, she goes opposite. She says, give me Louisville plus the 10.5. Fuck your Clemson minus 10.5. And she takes Vandy plus the points. Right? So and then she takes Arizona plus the points. So I've got this maximum number of 40 points. Lori's maximum considerably lower, but there's a good chance that I could miss all of these fucking games and the outcomes could still be within range for Lori to hit them all. And all she's done is fucking piggybacked her way.
Okay,
to
so
victory.
here's what
This
happened.
is bullshit.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
I don't like doing this.
Yes.
And on Thursday mornings, I'm like, fuck, I gotta fucking pick things. And I get on and I'm looking at all the, because I'm like, absolutely not, absolutely not, absolutely not. Like some of I just know that's too big, that's too small, I don't like it. All of it makes me feel very uncomfortable, except the ones Bob picked. And I was like, well, I don't want to pick the ones Bob picked. And then I was like, oh no, that would be really funny.
Right.
And then I did that.
It would be hilarious if you got all the points, like Bob got it exactly wrong.
We'll see. Whatever. Like,
She thinks it's funny now, sitting on the couch on Saturday night as all of the outcomes turn against me and towards her. She won't find it as funny when I'm in a sour mood.
Yeah, you're right. But then we'll talk about it the next week, and it'll be funny then again.
Lori, doing it for the content at the expense of our marital bliss.
We don't have that right now. You're still sick. You're no fun anyway.
I know it's not the politics show, but Cousin Steve sent me a screenshot, and I'll hold it up to the camera there,
No one
not
can
that you
see
can
that.
actually see it.
There's a little glare, but yes.
He got on Robinhood,
Oh.
where you can now bet on elections here in the United States.
No kidding.
And he put his money where his mouth is. He is betting that Kamala Harris is going to win the presidency on Tuesday or thereabouts.
Isn't
And-
Robinhood a investment app? They do gambling?
Oh, it's definitely just a gambling app. I mean, they call themselves an investment app, but it's basically just a gambling app.
What's
at
the
this point.
difference?
Holy shit, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, you can sign up to bet on the presidential election.
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically it's like it's a futures contract or an options contract, basically.
Yeah, it says here, this is not a poll or voting. It's an event contract. What the fuck is
Yeah.
that?
It's a way to gamble on the election is all that it is.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
56
but he bought-
cents, 44 cents. Wow, okay.
He got in at 43 cents, and so he bought 228 contracts at 43 cents each. He will receive $228 if Kamala Harris wins the presidency.
So they use event contract, but it plays very much like a bet.
It's just a bet. Yeah.
You're just going to hold up in court? What do you mean, Your Honor? It's an event contract. It's not a bet. Like, no, we don't do that.
Yeah, we do whatever we want in this country now, Abe. It doesn't matter. It's totally fine.
Event contract.
All right. Check the show note if you want to know what Jimmy Carter's presidential lock of the week is. I'm sure that will be located there. I apologize. That's 2 weeks running now without any
It's not your fault.
word from Plains, but
It's out of your hands.
he's a busy man. You've been listening to Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports with Bob and Abe and Lori too. Check us out on brainiron.substack.com for more from us. You can also head over to tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com for more from Mark Gillig, who composes our opening and closing themes, and whom I still owe a wedding gift. Fuck. I gotta remember to do that at some point. Abe, do you have any other sports-related content you would like to mention tonight?
I actually do not. The Ralph Nader was my one, but we used it up earlier. But no
Fucking-
new sports stuff.
I guess we could go back to Nader's Twitter feed and see if there's anything else fun there.
Used it up.
Lori, have you got any other sports-related content you would like to discuss tonight?
I don't think so. No, I don't.
Bob Costas has retired as Major League
that's
Baseball
right.
play-by-play voice. How about that?
He'd been around for a while.
You Costas guy, Abe?
Yeah, generally.
I like Bob Costas. I think he gets a bunch of shit that he does not deserve.
Does he?
Mott is on his way in. Strope is on his way out, pointing toward the heavens. We can only ask or wonder that he is asking some departed relative for forgiveness for this atrocious performance.
What
Yeah,
did he-
people
I remember-
complain about Bob Costas.
I did not know that. I remember there was one like halftime, like he did like some spiel on like gun control, and he got a lot of shit. And then he had that pink eye during the Olympics, but I don't recall there being any other issues with him.
I want Abe to write obituaries for all public figures from now on.
That's the information that stays.
It's a headline in The Athletic. It says, greatest player ever, ? After Shohei Ohtani's first World Series title, there's a legitimate argument. There's not a sport, I don't think, where winning a title should have less bearing on your status as an all-time great, right? What a stupid fucking concept that somehow, whether or not a baseball player has won a World Series title, determines their all-time greatness. It makes zero sense whatsoever.
But that is 100% true. But like in some ways, couldn't you make the same argument about football? Because there are just so many players on a football team that any one person, I guess, other than quarterback, like if you're like a receiver, you have like no say. Like Megatron, when he was with the Lions, had no control over whether they make the playoffs, and he's still like a Hall of Fame caliber player. But there's still like this. You need to win titles in order for you to make it. For some NFL players, and that should also be the same. Like it should just be like an individual like stats thing. But especially with baseball,
I think that holds for every position besides quarterback, right?
Yeah.
In the NFL, like a truly great NFL quarterback, should be on a championship-winning team at some point, right?
Yeah.
Or at least compete
because they matter that
for
much.
championship.
Because they can change the
impact.
whole team by existing.
Yeah.
Like it makes a great deal of sense in basketball, right? Like
There are just so few players. Then you control so much. You just need a couple of good players on your team to make it very far. And so if you're just sucking all your career, then it's a reflection on you somehow.
If Shohei had the Freddie Freeman series that Freddie had, and rather than the dumpster fire of a series that Shohei had.
First of all, Shohei had like a tremendous season, right? I mean, that's a much more accurate sample size, right, than just like a bad series.
Very good season by Shohei Ohtani, no doubt about it.
Very good season. Didn't he break like some record, 50-50? And I don't know what he ended up with.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very, very big time. Good work by Mr. Shohei Ohtani, no doubt about it. But had he, like, I could see the headline being like, look, there's simply no denying it anymore. He drove in half the runs. He hit more than half of their home runs. Like, he might be the greatest of all time, and we have to start having that conversation now. That would make some sense. But, like, putting a World Series ring on his finger after a series in which he barely contributed in a meaningful way to the securing of that title, I don't see how that bolsters his argument for all-time greatness.
It doesn't bolster it. I mean, it's already there. But you're right. If he had the Freddie performance on top of, like, the regular season, I mean...
Yes, you would be unbearable, for example,
my God. I mean, he's already
moment.
Better than Babe Ruth. I don't know who else I can point to that he's better than.
Yeah. Anyway, Abe, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
I guess that's all we've got for you tonight, then, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
My experience listening to that first hour of the Biffler was a great deal like watching one of those voter panels on CBS News This Morning or like a Frank Luntz panel or something where it's just, oh God, where did they find this public that we're talking to here?
But it is interesting, like, how information seeps through, Like, Urban is, like, an avowed, like, I don't pay attention at all.
I don't pay attention to anything at all, ever. Don't you want to hear who I'm voting for? What? Excuse me?
I saw a Mindy Kaling Kamala video, and she knows her Indian food. She's got my vote.
What a nightmare.
But usually that's how decisions are made. Like, it's just like a feeling. Like, I don't like that. Or, not too bad.
This is the wrong podcast. You're thinking of the other podcast. This is the fun podcast.
You have to look at this picture of Clayton Kershaw that I just sent you.
Me too?
Yeah.
This is after the game.
Yeah.
He could get bigger pants.
Pitchers are athletes.
Whatever.
He's in shape,
Body shame him.
I mean, that's a shape,
His
right?
pants are
Look
too
at that.
small.
He's in shape. Abe says that's a shape.
That is, look at that.
Why are his pants are too small?
I might legitimately be in better shape than Clayton Kershaw.
Look at the muscles on this guy. What do you mean? Like, he's got like just like one layer of like, like winter's coming, so maybe he's doing that. He's getting ahead of it.
When you say muscles, you're referring to just his arms.
Yeah, yes.
And I bet just one arm.
Yes.
It's
Is
true.
he left-handed?
He is a lefty.
Yeah,
I
like
do
that
wonder
left arm looks good.
They should
the
do that
right
with
arm
pictures.
over there looks less good.
They should just do pictures of just their torso. Apparently, there were media from Japan, and there was like one media outlet, some TV station that wanted an interview with Shohei, and you could see there's like some video where he's just like, "Fuck that, no." And then I looked it up, and apparently they revealed his home or something. They did something like scummy, and he was like celebrating with everybody. But when he realized who he was about to give an interview to, he's like, "No, fuck that. They're not getting shit." And he went back to celebrate with his team.
Did Shohei performatively clean up the locker room by himself after the game? Did he shame his fellow Dodgers into neatly folding the towels in the locker room afterwards?
I wonder if it's a different type of Japanese. Maybe they're not all the same.
Maybe they're not all the
Maybe
same.
they're not all the same. Hey, you're growing. Listen to him. Those sensitivity trainings are really paying off down there at the IRS.
That came out wrong. We just had our annual briefings, Do better.
Good
Came out
times.
wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Good.
Feel better.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Thanks. Bye.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.